Righty then. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, Haplo the Patron. Greetings from Germany. What time is it in Germany right now? It's got to be afternoon, right? It's like late afternoon. So you guys are what, 6 hours behind us or ahead of us? Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Had a little technical difficulty there in the beginning. I did not change the settings to solo, and so it was just showing that green screen. 4 o'clock. Okay, so you guys are 6 hours. I was right. Look at that. Look at that. I was right. 6 hours. I still remember my time zones from the military. 6 hours in Germany. I think you guys have 2 time zones in Germany, no? Maybe? Can't remember. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I don't know how long today's show is going to be. It is my 17th wedding anniversary. Or no, anniversary, not wedding anniversary. That's March 21st. This is the one that Christy and I celebrate. And we do all of the things on this day. And so she's actually out right now being the incredible wife and grabbing me coffee because I did not make it this morning. So, and then from there, we've got some dinner plans and all the fun stuff. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm here with you guys for the next couple of hours, and we'll get through some of the stories that happened this past week and what it all means. Probably the first story, just to hit real quick. I mean, there's not really much to say on it, but Hawaii got hit with a hurricane. I didn't even know Hawaii got hurricanes. But yeah, here you go. This was Rainbow Falls in Hawaii before and after the storm that just passed through. Big rain event from what we're told. That's nuts, man. That is crazy. Although, based on the picture here, it looks like this is the top picture is like underwhelming. Like it looks like normally there's probably some more water coming out of there just based on what's pouring there. But either way, there was one fatality in that storm before everything went down, before, you know, the storm hit. It was, I guess, like an evacuation fatality, an accident, a car accident, I think. So, yeah, there you go. Praying for the people of Hawaii. We also know about the Hayden Panettiere death. I'm not going to go into that. It's kind of just rumors and everything else, speculation. She did have a very interesting life, you know, after she got away from Hollywood and, well, not got away, but when she toned down a little bit. And we found out, I didn't know this, she was part of she was at the Ukrainian Euromaidan protest in 2014 and 2015, and her fiance at the time, her baby daddy, her fiance, his brother was the mayor of Kyiv, Vladimir Klitschko, and yeah, there's a really interesting story. They ended up finding Narcan at her apartment, allegedly, and epinephrine, which would be indicative of a cardiac arrest. So, and all that stuff. Carlos says, wouldn't that be a typhoon instead of a hurricane? No, somebody called me out on this. Somebody called me out on this on Monday, I think, and I said no, and we fact checked it on air. A hurricane in basically the American oceans, the what would that be? The Western Pacific, is hurricanes. It's not until you get over into like the Eastern Pacific, like the Asian countries, that they call it typhoons. So I was actually correct on that this morning. I think it was Zach called me out on that. Come on, guys. I'm a Floridian, born and raised. Hurricanes are my thing, dude. Like, we learn about hurricanes in grade school. We learn all about hurricanes in grade school. Yeah, so back to the Panettiere thing. There was some interesting things around Klitschko. He was an Olympic gold boxer. He won Olympic gold. He was a boxer, Ukrainian. lived in Ukraine. When the Russian invasion, quote unquote invasion, occurred, he joined the military over there in Ukraine, probably just like a propaganda guy, like go out there and kiss hands and shake babies, right? It's an inside joke from the Marine Corps. But, one of the interesting things, he got $1 million for his gold medal. I told Chris about this on Friday. He got $1 million for his gold medal. He auctioned it off and it went for $1 million. And the guy that won it, anonymous donor, gave it back to him, gave him the $1 million and then gave him the medal back. That is pure money laundering, in my opinion. That just reeks of money laundering. And that was, I think, in 2012. So maybe payment for the Orange Revolution. I don't know if he participated in that or something else that had taken place in Ukraine, or maybe it was payment in advance for, perhaps. I mean, could have just been a good guy who's like, I'll give you $1 million and here, you keep the medal. I just want to donate to you. But when you do it that way, it's not money laundering, right? You can't just donate somebody $1 million and you're like, well, why did you give it to them? So you do it with a medal, an Olympic medal, because they're so valuable. Aren't they $30,000, I think, because they're actual gold? Okay, Nancy Mace has decided that she's going to be an influencer and went out and got a bunch of tattoos back in February, and now she's showing them off to everybody. Freaking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. She's got this YouTube platform now. 42,000 subscribers. Go figure. For what? And she's looking like a thirst trap on here. Just AI generated photos. She's got the glasses. She even has the faces, like the concerned face here. Exposing animal sacrifices. Right? Me and Ash did a whole episode on this. Apparently she doesn't change her faces that much. She uses the same, somebody stole her puppy face for everything. So Nancy Mace, now an influencer or podcaster or whatever you want to call it. What a joke, man. Went out and got all these tattoos and oh man, I can't with her story, man. So her story is that her ex-boyfriend and all of his friends, he sexually assaulted her, and then we find out that remember when she's like, I'm gonna do something very, very bold and very, very brave, and I'm gonna show naked pictures of me today in Congress, and everybody watched. Everybody's like, okay, I want to see this. And then it turns out that it was security camera footage inside the dude's house, and she was walking through his house naked, right? That's what it turned out to be. And she's like, I feel so violated. It's like, bitch, you're in his house. I mean, that's not unusual to have security cameras in your house. There's no crime here. You walk through the guy's house naked. That's his area. Now, if he went and broadcast them, I guess maybe that's, an issue. But anyways, what a crazy story. So she's got a podcast now, so you guys can go watch her instead of the hard charging news over here. You can go watch her be an influencer. She always remember when she did the COVID thing? Me and Ash, I think, talked about this as well. Remember when she did the COVID thing and rented a van, and all of her and her besties, they all got in the van and they're wearing their pajama shorts and they're like, road trip, and they stop at the gas station and they're like, let's get all the snacks and the drinks and let's get all feisty in the back of the van. And they all drove to DC and documented it we're influencers, yeah, we're out on tour, rock on, we love you, DC. So cringe. She's trying to earn a teardrop right now. Yeah, just a little face tattoo. When she gets a face tattoo, then shit's getting real. Should I get all these tattoos now? I wear a hoodie for almost every single show that I do. So if I got a whole bunch of tattoos, it wouldn't matter. I've only got like 5 tattoos. But if I got like a whole bunch, you wouldn't even really notice. Maybe then I'd have to start working out if I'm going to get like sleeves. Like if you have sleeves, you gotta be fit, right? And I'm just not there anymore. I was a long time ago. So, all right, let's jump into actual news and not thirst traps over in D.C. From the Hill, judge lifts order on Somalia TPS, clearing the way for deportations. This is the Judge Burroughs case that we've talked about for a week or two now. She's been on again, off again with these stays on it, and now she has finally cleared the way. I think we even got video of the first Haitian planes that were leaving with TPS migrants on it. And they're going back. So here we go. Somalia clear. And then there was an X post here from Homeland Security. All TPS terminations are now in effect. Let's go. Let's go. No more temporary protected status for anybody. 650,000, I think it was, that have to leave. Now, that's 650,000 that are here on TPS. This is something we've been talking about. How many of those people, because a lot of these TPSs go back, 2-3 decades, right? I think Somalia was 1991. That's, 35 years? 35 years. If you came over here 35 years ago as a 12 or 13-year-old kid, or let's go with 18, just keep it legal, right? If you came over here 35 years ago as an 18-year-old kid and you had a kid within the first, 5, 6, 7 years, so between 18 and 25, your kid's automatically a citizen under this birthright citizen bullshit. And guess what? They're old enough now to start having kids. So those people, those Somalians that came over in 91, even as teenagers, they are now grandparents to some, maybe even great grandparents. If they came over in like their 20s, like 25, and they had a kid right away in 91, and that kid would now be 35. If they had him in 91, would be 35. Say they had a kid at 19, that kid could be 16. I guarantee you there's people here that were here from these 1990s that are great grandparents. Definitely grandparents. No question that there's grandparents. All of them are gone now. Now, out of that 650,000, this is the point I was getting to. How many of those people have, seated themselves in the country? Now, again, if they assimilated, I think birthright citizenship is garbage, and I think it needs to go away. But it was law at the time, or it was the policy, whatever you want to call it at the time. It was the way of the country. And so, if those people assimilated, right? If they grew up, they were born here, they started speaking English, they started, assimilating to American culture, or at least, as much of it as they can while still, remaining whatever, then, it is what it is. But how many of them broke off into these communities like Minnesota and they just take over small sections of the community and anybody else from the outside can't get in? Right? The birthright citizenship is a loophole. Yes, pretty much. But when you go and look at, some of the stuff Nick Shirley and all these others have uncovered in places like Minneapolis, that is all very close-knit communities. And they're protected because nobody can get in those communities unless you're a part of that community. And so this kind of enables them. It lays the foundation for them to commit these types of frauds against our government using American citizens because of the birthright citizenship, being able to get access to some of these, things. And then, from there, how do you penetrate that, right? Like Nick Shirley goes over there and starts knocking on these doors, and they know clear as day Nick Shirley is not Somali. They know that Nick Shirley is not he doesn't belong there, right? And so at that point, then you tighten up your defenses. And now it's, hey, we've been infiltrated. This is exposed. We need to lay low for a little while. Keep all your customers just to people that you know on a first name basis, and this allows that that fraud to continue on. But that's my point, though, is there's no assimilation into American culture. And so 650,000 is probably closer to a couple million. And I wonder what's going to happen when all those people that are still here on TPS and haven't gotten citizenship and, whatever, what's going to happen when they leave? Are their anchors going to go with them? Are their anchor babies going to go with them? And by babies, I mean some of these people are fully grown adults now. So I was pleased to see that all TPSs are now in effect. Let's go. I got to pause for a second here. I'm waiting for my coffee patiently because I'm almost out of water and I really, really need coffee. My husband is the most fit he's ever been in his life and still has just the same tattoos as he's always had. He has 5. I have 1. My wife, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I only have 4. My wife has 1. She's getting through that little whiskers on her finger. What a dumb tattoo. I make fun of her for it all the time. I mean, it is what it is, but I make fun of her for it all the time. She's got the whiskers, so she can do that. I just grow a mustache. She just goes like that, which I'm glad she didn't grow a mustache. So that's always a good thing. That's a good thing. You got a bunch of e-verify alerts regarding TPS. Are you a business owner? Are they sending out notices to business owners? I know you're seeing a lot of people start taking advantage of these visas that are available for migrant workers, but yeah. All right, let's jump into this story here from Just the News. I love to see this story. I love to see everything developing in this story. So this story, the FBI had evidence that Swalwell got illegal donations from a Chinese suspected spy. We'll jump down here because we've talked about this quite a few times already. But there was a memo that came out, and this memo, and let me pull the memo up by itself. Hold on. It's this one right here. Yeah, it's this one. And I had a post about this earlier this week, and it actually, let me pull the post up. I apologize. I failed you guys on this one. I should have had this ready to go. So Swalwell comes out this week. The Fang stuff is just running hard. Okay, there's the post. Okay, I can stop filibustering. All right, so we'll pull this back up. And going back over to the article, jump down here. The FBI initially wanted to investigate the congressman for a bribery scheme in which he exchanged donations from Fang for her planting interns in his office, but eventually decided to narrow the case to seek criminal charges only against Fang for making illegal donations through conduits. Now, why do you think it is that they only wanted to go after Fang? They changed it completely. So originally it was Swalwell, then it was Swalwell and Fang, and then it was just Fang that they were seeking indictments for. And why do you think it was just Fang that they ended up going after? I'll tell you in a second. Swalwell admitted to having sex with Fang, his staff placing Fang's interns in Congress and not having a strong enough campaign finance system to detect the straw donations that she allegedly passed through U.S. citizen conduits. The Justice Department, by the way, hat tip to Act Blue on that one, right? Allowing foreign donations to come through. Yeah, good job, guys. Their co-founder pled the fifth this week behind closed doors with the House Judiciary, House Administration, and the House Oversight Committees. The Justice Department declined to prosecute Fang despite strong evidence of the illicit donations after she fled the U.S. as the FBI began interviewing her associates and raided her home. The early steps in the investigation were overseen in part by controversial prosecutor Jack Smith. The FBI was recruiting Fang to be confidential informant through an undercover agent assigned to her the code name Rusty Thumbs, planned to hire her through a cutout company, and was still evaluating her suitability as a confidential human source when they discovered her alleged criminal behavior. The FBI knew early on during the recruitment that Fang was tied to China's Ministry of State Security. And then here is the document, right? Oh, hold on one second. Dogs are going to go crazy because Christy's coming home. Come on, get in the house. I think I can hear her car pulling into the driveway. The exhaust on her car rattles. It just kind of murmurs the air a little bit, and so I can hear it, especially when I have the headphones on. Pick it up more. Okay. The FBI knew in 2015 Swalwell was compromised, yet he gets placed on the House Permanent Select Intelligence Committee. What role does the FBI and CIA have in vetting people for the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence? How did Swalwell get on this committee in 2015? And worse, how did he become the senior Democrat on the subcommittee on the CIA? It's almost as if he was placed there because he was compromised. There was a big dog and pony show in 2020 about Pelosi being briefed on this and allowing him to stay on the committee, but they knew in 2015. I railed on this week, guys. So you have a situation here where, what is this? Oh, now we're not going to get into that. We have a situation here where the Intel Committee knew, the FBI knew, the CIA knew, they knew that Swalwell was a spy, or that Fang Fang was a spy, and that she had infiltrated Swalwell's office, as well as the mayor, whatever mayor it was in the Midwest that they talk about all the time. And they knew that there was illegal crimes that Fang Fang had committed and that Swalwell was complicit in, and they gaffed it off. They buried the ties to Swalwell. They didn't investigate him criminally. They passed it off. They sought an indictment against Fang Fang, and then they took Swalwell and they put him on that committee. That's what I think. That is what I think. I think Swalwell was deliberately put on that committee. And I don't think people are looking at this enough. I think this might be the biggest story out of this whole thing. Is how Swalwell was able to get on that committee. It's bigger than a Chinese spy going after Swalwell. That happens all the time. Feinstein's driver, there's spies all over. I mean, we just found out, 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, from Una Panuna Banca, from Anna Paulina Luna, that Congress doesn't even have a vetting process for their staffers. Like, there's no background checks on their staffers. They had to introduce a bill to require Congress to do background checks on staffers. Are you kidding me? But I have to do a background check to buy a gun. I have to do a background check for everything. Like jobs, you're doing a piss test, you're doing a background check, you're doing everything. To be a staffer for Congress, the people that actually pull the strings, nothing. That's crazy. And the 2015, looking at the document, here's the document right here. Dated March 9th, 2015. That's my mom's birthday, March 9th. 2015, Fang Fang and a Chinese foreign national, facilitator of a scheme to trade internships in Congressman Eric Swalwell's congressional office in return for campaign contributions. Fang Fang used conduits to conceal herself as a prohibited foreign national source. It's good. It's good. She brought me Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and it's tiramisu, and it's pretty good. Usually I'm a butter pecan guy. Swalwell for Congress received $1.145 million in individual contributions, although those are not all attributed to Fang Fang. But the straw donors, makes things a lot of craziness. Makes you go, 2015, guys, 2015. Did the chat freeze? Nobody said anything in a while. That sucks. Looking over in YouTube, CC Pups 12 says, "Hi Brian, happy anniversary to you and Christy. Thank you so much. Thank you. 17 years. John Solomon needs a press representative with Caroline Levitt's on-camera skill set. He's a wonderful writer, but not articulate enough on camera reporting. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach." All right, there we go. Pecan or pecan pie. So again, I'm not going to have this conversation again, but if it's by themselves, you eat pecans. Like, do you want a handful of pecans? But if it's pie, it's pecan pie. And if it's an adjective to describe something or a type of something, it's not pecan. It's pecan if it's by itself. It's pecan if it's in a pie. Butter pecan. That's a good one. I'd be curious, to see how I say that one, because it's one of those things where, like, whatever I'm thinking about. You ever seen those things like where it's like this really crazy voice, and if you think about a word, you hear that word, and there's two words. If you think about one word, you hear that word. If you think about the other word, you hear that word. Those things are freaking crazy, man. You guys know what I'm talking about? Have you guys ever seen those? Spotzel says CannCon never stops being wrong. Spot on. Now you just need to teach my wife that. You just need to teach my wife that. Fucking Marine drinking flavored coffee. Yes, I do. I drink flavored coffee. It's like not like crazy. It's just a syrup that adds flavor to regular coffee. I don't drink like cappuccinos and lattes and all that shit. Although I have, and if that's all that's available, I will. But all right, let's move on. So the Swalwell thing. Interestingly, I wrote about this back in 2024. That Chinese journalist says she was recruited by intelligence, and that turned out to be true. So jump over to the post that I got this from back in 2024, and it gets interesting. Hugh Jin says, I had lunch, and I'm assuming that's Hugh Jin. I had lunch with this lady. Her name is Fang Fang, and U.S. media called her a suspected Chinese spy. In 2009, she went to study in the U.S. and did a lot of work to promote personnel exchanges between China and U.S. in those years. In 2015, the CIA and FBI approached her and asked her to, quote-unquote, cooperate. 2015. So this is when they know Swalwell is compromised. In 2015, there it is, her own words. I knew this all before these D-class documents. The FBI used coercion and inducement, offering to give her citizenship and $1 million, requiring her to work for them or else they would ruin her. 3 days after the FBI had a showdown with her, she fled the U.S. alone and returned to China, her motherland. She told me, I just don't want to betray my motherland. I don't want to be an American spy. That's my bottom line as a person. She went to America with dreams, but in the end, her dreams were shattered. It was the U.S. that shamelessly betrayed this exceptional girl's dream for it. I mean, look, she was clearly a spy. I'm not going to buy into all the, like, when she says I didn't want to betray my motherland, of course. Good on her, at least. She has integrity, right? Right? At least she's like, I'm going to go spy in the U.S. By the way, we have spies in China, so don't think it's like, it's not like, oh my God, they're the only ones spying on us. Holy shit. No, we spy on them too. So it's just, to them, it's like business as usual. So at least she has integrity, and she's like, hey, I'm not gonna flip on my country. I'm going to go back. I hope our spies in China have the same integrity. Some of them probably do. Some of them probably don't. I've never seen someone drink coffee with a straw. It's iced coffee. All right. Guys, relax with my coffee drinking. Come on. It's my anniversary. You guys are supposed to be nice to me today. I guess it's only my wife that's supposed to be nice to me today. You guys can dog on me for drinking coffee through a straw. All right, let's move on. Is there anything? Oh, so the Fang Fang. There is more in the Fang Fang. Guy, I'm getting distracted by the chat. You guys distract me. There is more to the Fang Fang. Swalwell was seized, had all his electronic devices, his phone and his MacBook, and they raided his home in D.C., but they stopped him on boarding a plane in San Francisco, seized his electronic devices, and allegedly they're doing it under 18 U.S.C. 242, which is deprivation of rights law. I think that's what they went after. Isn't that what they went after Douglas Mackey for? Let me fact check this. Did the DOJ go after Doug Mackey for 18 USC 242 deprivation of rights? I'm pretty sure that's what they went after Douglas Mackey for. No, they did not prosecute him under that. He was under 241. I was close. Conspiracy to interfere with rights. I was close. That's a pretty damn good memory. I haven't written about Douglas Mackey. I interviewed him about a year ago when he got all the charges dropped, but I haven't written about him in like 3 years. So that's a pretty damn good memory right there to get that iced coffee is gay. Whatever. Jeez. God. Quiet chat bowed. Loud chat a distraction. We can't win. I love you guys. Oh, I love you guys. And not that girl, touche. That is a fair point. Like, you guys aren't talking and then I get distracted by you. Fair point. All right. So Swalwell had his devices. The interesting thing is 18 U.S.C. 242 has a stipulation in it where if the victims either die or are victims of aggravated sexual abuse, the penalties for that go up substantially. And, up to death. That's what 242 says in the code. Death. Life in prison, harsh penalties for that. Now, if this is I don't know what this is. Is this a way to get at his devices, kind of like the Comey thing? Like you do the 8647 shells to get at his devices, right? I mean, if they're spying on everybody else, you got to play the same games back at them. So are they doing this, like going after that crime in order to kind of check on the other crimes? Maybe. You know, Swalwell gets implicated in all of these sex crimes, sexual harassments, all these things, has to withdraw from the governor's race, has to resign from Congress, and now is being investigated. That means it's pretty serious, guys. Like, if he left the governor's race, sure, but, you know, that means it's pretty serious. And I'm wondering, you know, what's going on behind the scenes there. Swalwell, we talked about this during the week, was a key figure in the Trump impeachments. I mean, he's been a key figure against President Trump this whole time. So they install him in 2015 in the House Permanent Select Intelligence Committee and the subcommittee for CIA. Swalwell then goes on to be a key figure in all of the lawfare and spyfare that was waged against President Trump in his first term. And the whole time, he's been handled, I believe, he's been handled by the CIA and the FBI because they're the ones that placed him there in those committees. I don't think this warrant ends at the sex crimes. I don't think it ends there. Maybe it leads to more from there. I don't know. But fascinating. And then my wife pops in the chat to distract even more. Happy anniversary, CannCon. Thank you, baby. Love you. Bro, you're good. Enjoy your coffee. Love me some Gucci coffee. I mean, this isn't Gucci. It's Dunkin' Donuts. Other than that, I drink loaded gun coffee every day. I do every once in a while have a Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. Not that girl. What movie are we talking about? What movie? Quiet chat. I don't know. Did I mention a movie? Maybe I mentioned a movie. All right. So let's jump into more of the people. When people say nothing's happening, come on, man. Swalwell just got a warrant served on him by the FBI. Now we've got this story here from DOJ. Former NIAID senior official pleads guilty to charges connected to concealing federal records. Let me see if I can get my highlights back on this. Yeah, there we go. So David Morenz, formerly known as Dr. Morenz, 78, served as a senior advisor in NIAID's Office of the Director from 06 to 22, 16 years. Co-conspirators 1 and 2. All right, so co-conspirator 1, I believe, is Peter Daszak, EcoHealth Alliance. Co-conspirator 1. Co-conspirator 2 is a Boston University professor and quote-unquote doctor. I want to say his name's David Kusch, Keusch, but I don't remember the first name for sure. But I'm pretty sure that's who co-conspirator 2 is. So 1 and 2 and others conspired during COVID to defraud the United States after NIH terminated co-conspirator 1's grant for understanding the risk of bat coronavirus emergence, which was based on allegations that COVID-19 emerged from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and co-conspirator 1 made a sub-award to then to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Morenz and co-conspirator 2, that's Kusch, pledged to help co-conspirator 1 restore the termination of the bat coronavirus grant and counter the narrative that COVID leaked from a lab. Daszak, co-conspirator 1, believed to be Daszak, and co-conspirator 2 agreed in writing to intentionally hide their communications from public view by using Morenz's personal Gmail account. Never a good idea to do that. Never, first and foremost, don't obfuscate the people. But if you're doing shady shit, don't tell people in writing that you're going to delete your writing. That's just retarded logic. Back channel information to senior NIAID official number 1. So they were back channeling stuff, and a senior NIAID official 1 is alleged to be Fauci. So they were back channeling information to him. These matters fell within Morenz's role as senior advisor and constituted federal records that needed to be created, maintained, and exchanged on government systems. Co-conspirator 1 gifted Morenz wine for his behind-the-scenes shenanigans. Morenz then allegedly identified an official act that he could perform to quote-unquote deserve the gift, which was to author a scientific commentary in a prominent medical journal advocating that COVID-19 had natural origins. I drove this one home hard during the week, so if this is a, doubling down for you, I apologize in advance. And for the people who hate when I read things twice, they gave him a bottle of wine, and he wrote an article or a commentary in a prominent medical journal saying COVID had natural origins. Like, that is the cost of your soul, to lie to people, is a bottle of wine. And it wasn't even like an expensive bottle of wine by wine standards. It's expensive for me. It was like, I think it was like $140, $150. That's nuts, man. Let me see if I could find the bottle that he allegedly had. That's crazy to me. Like, you're willing to sell your soul, like your profession, your credibility, your integrity. You're selling it for a bottle of wine. Hold on. I know New York Post reported what the bottle was. It was the brand of wine that Peter Daszak gave David Morenz was the Prisoner Red Napa Valley wine. Let me see. It's valued at $40. That's not an expensive bottle of wine to me. That's a little more than above what we normally like. If it's BOGO, it's $40, so we'll get 2 for $40. We'll do that. That's not even an expensive bottle of wine. The Prisoner Red Napa Valley wine is what he sold his soul out for. Like, that's not even worth the time that you would go and write that. That's got to be like a joke, man. That's got to be like a joke. Here it is, The Prisoner. Morenz admitted in his guilty plea that he received 2 bottles of this wine valued at $40 as illegitimate gratuities from Daszak in exchange for... I can't believe this anymore now. Where's the money? There has to have been a payoff, like a legit payoff, not this bullshit, a $40 bottle of wine. Maybe it's The Prisoner. I mean, it is interesting that the wine is called The Prisoner. Yeah, Spoetzel caught that. The Prisoner. There we go. Yeah, The Prisoner. I don't know. That's nuts, man. It goes on to say co-conspirator 1, that's Daszak, suggested that he would provide Morenz with additional things of value, including meals at Michelin-starred restaurants in Paris, New York, and D.C. I mean, again, now you're getting a little bit better. I'll tell you what, Morenz, when you go to one of those Michelin-star restaurants, ask them for a bottle of The Prisoner and watch them laugh you out of the restaurant. Go to a Michelin-starred restaurant and ask for a bottle of The Prisoner. That's like 19 crimes. That's like almost as bad as Snoop Dogg's wine. I think it's Snoop Dogg's, right? The ladies in my family love that wine, so I'm probably going to get yelled at here in a second. Here's the other thing that was interesting about the Morenz thing. Just the news. Pelosi, Democrats keep Swalwell. Oh, no, that's not it. Shit. Here it is. Sorry. I'm going to have to revisit the, no, we don't have to do. So this is kind of, okay, so let me stay on topic here. I apologize. I should have had that in order. Former Fauci associate. Wait, don't apologize. Be better, right? I'm not sorry. Don't be sorry. Be better. Former Fauci associate David Morenz pleads guilty. Jump down here. In his own 2004 House hearing, Fauci distanced himself from Morenz, questioning whether the former colleague even reported directly to him. Quote, with respect to his recent testimony before this subcommittee, I knew nothing of Dr. Morenz's actions regarding Daszak EcoHealth. or his emails. It is important to point out for the record that despite his title, and even though he was helpful to me in writing scientific papers, Morenz was not an advisor to me on NIAID policy or other substantive issues, Fauci said at the time. Now, that was in 2024. When did Fauci testify? That had to have been after the pardons, right? That had to have been after the pardons. No, the pardons came in 2025. Never mind. Disregard. I'm thinking 2024 election. 2025 the pardons came, so the auto pen pardons. So that's not gonna hold water. So even if he did lie there, he's still gonna be okay, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Please bring my wine still in the box. You and Ash. That's what Ash's joke was. I drink box wine. Ugh. Blech. Sorry, I am not drinking box wine. Not willingly. I'm sure I have. I'm a snob. So we'll land the Fauci thing there. I don't think there's more. We did have this email that came out from Janet Woodcock, where she's basically saying like, hey, I have all of these professionals like in this industry, like healthcare professionals that are telling me that they're getting all these people complaining about syndromes and symptoms of side effects from the vaccine. What's going on with this? Fauci wrote to Colin Francis, Janet asks what we think of this. We cannot ignore her. We should probably bring in CDC and see what Rochelle thinks. So this is maybe worth a read. Yeah, this is probably worth a read because Fauci acknowledges it in 2021. Woodcock writes, I have been contacted by a number of people who have experienced adverse events post-COVID-19 vaccination from all three of the current vaccines. Many are healthcare professionals, some of whom I know. The symptoms do not fit together into a distinctive syndrome, and most are not easily quantifiable or evaluated with standard laboratory testing. Clearly, during mass vaccination, you will get a lot of psychological reactions, and it's hard to sort these things out. But the people's main complaint is that no one takes them seriously. No one knows how to treat them, and there's no effort to study this. These problems are not the sort that seems like VAERS would be able to detect, or even a more sophisticated population-based active follow-ups such as CDC has, or medical records-based such as BEST. I think it would be worthwhile to do a study and evaluate a cohort of these individuals. But of course, money needs to be made available, and you would need an investigator who is interested in medical mysteries, quote-unquote medical mysteries. I doubt the industry would support, for obvious reasons. That is terrible right there. But my experience is that if you let a problem fester, it will come back to bite you later, and you are not prepared. What do you think of this? Just Wonder, or JW, Janet Woodcock. And that's what Fauci responded and said, Janet asks what we think of this. We cannot ignore her. We should probably bring in CDC and see what Rochelle thinks. So you have a credible medical professional saying there's a lot of other medical professionals that are saying we've got problems with this. And to make matters worse, there are problems that we can't even quantify. We can't qualify these problems. Qualify, I should say. And VAERS is going to miss them. And so we need to address this. Like, there's a lot of issues that VAERS is not going to catch. That's crazy, man. Let's see, what should we do now? All right, let's keep going here. All right, so just real quick on the Pelosi thing, the 2015, the placing here, just the news put this out that they kept Swalwell in the committees after 2020, and still I think that misses the story. So I think the story is, how do you get there in the first place when they knew? That's the big story in all of that. James Comey, another update on that case. Couple updates on this, actually. I'm just going to read this one here. This was from Paul Sperry on the 19th. A new court exhibit reveals a relative of James Comey sent a blistering text to his wife, Patrice Comey. lambasting them for posting, quote, a call for violence, end quote, against President Trump, asserting, quote, I have held my tongue for a long time, but I just can't do it anymore. You guys have really gone off the deep end over the years with your Trump derangement syndrome. 8647 is a call for violence, no matter how you spin it. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I am thoroughly embarrassed to have ever defended the absolute coward that is your husband. You and Jim are some of the least accepting, most hypocritical people I've had the displeasure of knowing. I hope Jim goes to jail for his crimes, end quote. Well, that is a very interesting text message to get from a family member. Clearly on the wife's side, because she's talking to the wife there. You and your husband, Jim is a psycho. And I'm mad that you guys sent this. I said that this is going to become a case where I think it's going to be difficult to prove that that's not free speech, political speech against a public figure. I think it's going to be difficult. Not impossible. And are you going to be able to get it beyond a reasonable doubt? Now, a bunch of other things have come out since I said that. I said that when this story first broke. Now there's reporting, allegedly, that they deleted the metadata on the phone or that they wouldn't give the metadata with the discovery, and so they had to subpoena it. And that they believe that the shells actually come from a remote part of the beach on the back of some sand dunes, that it would be very difficult to find those unless you knew what you were looking for. Now, that to me says Comey did it. And that's something I said all along. James Comey did not walk down the beach and just, oh, look, somebody wrote 8647 in the sand. But that's what he made it seem like. He did it, I think. I think he wrote that in the sand, or spelled it out, whatever you want to say. And if that's the case, that changes everything about this crime. There's also the text message that his wife was looking up 86 a few minutes before he posted that, just to see what it means in the civilian world, which again, I think people are like, oh, that proves that he knew that it meant violence. Yeah, but it also proves that before he posted it, he wanted to make sure that civilians look at it as something different. I don't think that that's the gotcha that a lot of people thought it was. I remember Alpha had tagged me in that post, and I was like, bro, that's not the gotcha you think it is. The other ones, now there's other ones that I think, things that have come out today, or this week, that are big. And that family saying this is a call for violence, that's a character issue. That you're the most unaccepting, hypocritical people, that's a character issue. That you have Trump derangement syndrome so bad, character. But the what was the one before that right there? If he created the shells, excuse me, my mind just blanked on me there. If he created the shells, that's the biggest one. That's the biggest one for me. So we'll see what happens. I still think there's something going on with that. So and in the way that I think he's a cooperating witness at this point, or they still have to play their role in the mainstream, but I think that he'll end up cooperating in some form or fashion. All right. The other big, and so the background on today's show, Trump and Cohen. Michael Cohen, they're mending their relationship. They are resuscitating their relationship. This was a clip from the interview that they had this week.
I want to go back to 2016 if we can, because you and I have obviously traveled a pretty rocky road together. Do you remember, sir, when I went on CNN with Breonna Keeler and she told me that you were underwater in the polls, and I responded with those famous two words, says who, which became some worldwide meme.
And advocate, and then they weaponized you like nobody's ever been weaponized, like few have been.
Well, maybe just you and I, sir.
And you, yeah, me too, but I don't consider mine was at a level that nobody's ever seen before. But they weaponized you. They weaponized a lot of people. And I respect the fact that you recanted everything you said. And that's a big thing that you did.
All right. So Trump going on Cohen. Cohen sounding like a complete like fanboy, like just like he's deliberately trying to get back on President Trump's good graces. And fair enough, he should. But I think it's mostly kayfabe. I think all of this is now it's I'm more convinced of it now than I ever have been. You know, in the beginning I was kind of like, and then when I did the show with Ghost, I was pretty convinced, and now it's like full bore. It's full bore, and this is how you bring somebody back into the fold. And so let's play this clip here from the show, and I want you to listen to first. I want you to listen to kind of how Cohen talks to him, right? Like he calls him boss, right, boss. And then also, he's like, hey, let's get a plan together. You and me, let's get a plan together.
So rather than paying the 25% tariff, it's very simple. Some people still don't understand it, but they're all building. And in the next year and a half, you're going to see buildings open, and you already see it in the construction numbers. The construction jobs in this country are through the roof, and that's because of all the plants and factories being built all over our country. There's never been, it's a renaissance. There's never been anything like it.
So maybe what we should do is then have a press conference and literally put out all of the accomplishments, because what's happening, boss, you remember when I was by your side, I literally used to analyze the polls, right? And you remember how much attention that I used to pay to that methodology? I would come in, I would say to you, oh, you know, they're claiming that you're 31%, that you're underwater, but I showed you that
the polls are crooked. The polls are...
Exactly.
So the reporters, as you know, are crooked, but many are.
Yeah. Yeah, boss. You remember when we used to hang out and we would talk about the those polls, and I would be like, yo, the polls. President Trump truth this out. CNN legal analyst Eli Honig. Michael Cohen's latest statements demolish the factual basis of the hush money. Listen to this.
Anyone who cheered that hush money prosecution of Donald Trump 2 years ago has nothing left to stand on, because now the star witness, the guy who is the reason why every prosecutor who looked at this case, including the Biden DOJ, the prior liberal Democratic DA, passed on charging this case, is because they didn't trust Michael Cohen beyond a reasonable doubt. Alvin Bragg rolled that dice, and now Michael Cohen has said publicly that he, quote, felt pressured and coerced by prosecutors. So where do you stand on Michael Cohen now? If you believe he's a truth teller, then he felt pressured and coerced by prosecutors. That's not acceptable. If you believe he's a liar, then your case is built on a liar. So that case is going through its appeal process incredibly slowly. I think there are major legal infirmities with it, but now the factual predicate has collapsed as well.
Well, it's funny how that happens. I mean, that whole case, and I've hashed this out before on Daily and on SitRep. Alpha and I hashed it out as well, but we'll just walk through it, right? People in the past have investigated Trump over the hush money. The catch and kill is what we turned it into. We went from hush money to catch and kill. Catch and kill sounds a lot worse than hush money. Hush money sounds kind of conspiratorial. Catch and kill sounds diabolical. Sounds very... Yeah. So the federal government investigated, the FEC, no crime. Happens all the time. People do that all the time. Hey, we'll pay you not to put this story out there. Okay, fair enough. The New York Manhattan District Attorney before Bragg looks into it. There's nothing here. Michael Cohen, you're convicted of perjury. There's nothing here. All right, move on. Then you get Bragg comes in, and Bragg's like, I ran on Get Trump. Trump derangement syndrome elevated significantly following COVID. The vaccine in New York City had like Trump derangement enhancements in it. And so all these people got even worse. And Bragg is like, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to roll the dice on Michael Cohen and see if we can get this to stick. And sure enough, they go to Judge Merchan, who's got his daughter has legal troubles of her own. But his daughter was fundraising for Democrat senators on exactly this. We got to fight Trump. We're doing it in the Eastern District of New York. We got to fight Trump. Raised, I'm going off the top of my head, but I think it was somewhere around $90 million for Democrats in the 2022 election and 2020 elections. And since then, her dad is the guy that's overseeing the case. Her dad forbids FEC chairman, former FEC chairman, Bradley Smith, and an Ohio State law professor, Ohio State University law professor, Bradley Smith, from testifying that these are not federal crimes. Even if Trump did what they're alleging he did, it's not that's not a crime. So they go after him with these state crimes. And, the falsifying records, which is ultimately what they convicted him. That's the 34 counts of falsifying business records. Misdemeanor in New York. You don't even get a slap on the wrist typically. It happens probably daily in New York. I'm going to guarantee you it happens daily in New York. Trump gets raked over the coals for this because they tack on... They elevated after the statute of limitations to a felony by saying that he falsified the records with intention to commit another crime. And Mershon said to the jurors, well, this is a novel legal theory. Or Bragg says, this is a novel legal theory. We need you first to decide if President Trump intended to commit another crime. Doesn't matter what that crime is. You guys don't have to agree that it was the same crime. But you have to agree that he did this to commit another crime. So there's no due process on that decision. He doesn't get to defend himself whether or not he felt like whether or not they felt he was going to commit another crime. They don't have to articulate a crime to him so he could defend himself. Just like in the E. Jean Carroll case, where he can't defend himself because he doesn't know the date and time that this happened. He can't formulate an alibi if he doesn't know when to make the alibi for, when to give an alibi for. And he probably would have one. His life is very well documented, both personally within his own enterprise and also in the public. Very documented. And so, you just see all the lawfare. And so when you look at the Michael Cohen, and the reason that I put the Michael Cohen as the background is because I think that we've seen this before. Elon Musk comes to mind, right? Remember when him and Elon, they hated each other. Elon went as far as saying that he was in the Epstein files. And now they're bros again. They're back at it. Michael Cohen, what Michael Cohen did was pretty bad. When you look at, and again, I'm going to tie this into my theory with MTG, with Tucker, with, all the other, quote unquote, former MAGA, America First, whatever you want to call them, the new movement, all the ones that have distanced themselves from Trump and bashed on Trump and everything else. How do you guys not understand how this man operates yet? Remember Alyssa Farah Griffin, the woman on The View? That was the one that got caught, by the way, low-hanging fruit, DOJ. Low-hanging fruit, Liz Cheney, Cassidy Hutchinson, Alyssa Farah Griffin, convincing Hutchinson to fire her attorneys and take the pro bono attorneys that Liz Cheney gave her and then totally changing her testimony. Low-hanging fruit, guys. Low-hanging fruit. Alyssa Farah Griffin made that connection. Alyssa Farah Griffin was in for Trump's first administration. I think she was in the press secretary's office. She wasn't a press secretary, but I think she was in the press secretary's office. And Trump famously, when he was talking about her, I don't know if he mentions her by name. I think he says that woman on The View. He says they come to me and they say, boss, I gotta take this job, but I'm probably gonna have to say some bad things. And he says, do it. I don't care. Do what you got to do. So Trump is telling you right there, Alyssa Farah Griffin, he's insinuating it's her, came to him before she went and took the job at The View and said, I'm probably going to have to say some mean things about you, boss. And he says, that's okay. You are operating at this point. I just don't understand how people don't see this. Like everybody that's like, MTG, fuck her, fuck Tucker, fuck Joe Kent, fuck Tulsi Gabbard, fuck all these people. And I'm like, you guys are stupid. Really stupid. Michael Cohen testified in court against Donald Trump. And Trump just did an interview with him and they broed up with him, reposting that they're resuscitating their relationship. Elon Musk said he was in the Epstein list, that he was in the Epstein files. They broed up. It's not time yet for DJT to bro up with all of those people, but it will happen. I think it'll happen. It'll be late in his term. It'll be towards the end, depending on what he's going to do in 2028. Might even be after 2028. They might carry this op all the way to him running for a third, fourth term, whatever you want to call it. They might carry that op all the way to then and see what happens. But I just don't know how people see this. Like when they're just dumping on these people, it's like, I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. They're not wrong. A lot of the things that, Marjorie Taylor Greene has said, I mean, if it wasn't Donald Trump that went into Iran and we didn't believe that there was other things going on with Iran, and I fully believe that there's other things going on, just on its face, if this was purely a war of aggression, MAGA should be adamantly against this war. Adamantly. Also, I don't believe the war is going on at all. We've got, 14, unfortunately, 14 KIAs, most of which are training accidents. That's not unusual, by the way, guys, for our military. It just happens that the training accidents are over there. We have training accidents all the time, and they end up in fatalities. Unfortunately, our equipment's not the best. All right, our equipment is not the best. We think it's the best, but it's not the best. It's built by the lowest bidder most of the time. But, so just when you look at some of the policies that these people are still standing by, they're policies that I still stand by. And, I think you're seeing a lot of people that are unable to look beyond personal differences between President Trump and these people. And I also, like I said last week, me and Ash on Wednesday, I said Donald Trump is so toxic to some people that could be in the MAGA, like they have that common sense mindset. And it's getting so polarizing right now that a lot of people are pulling into that mindset, but Trump is still toxic to them. And so you have to have somebody that can be that introductory drug, that gateway drug into America First, into the whole thing. And Trump keeps telling you, I mean, he's showing you guys. He's literally showing you guys. I just did an interview with Michael Cohen. We just sat down and reminisced over good times, old times. The guy was testifying, got him convicted, the star witness that got him convicted in 34 felony counts. Now, again, I think that was all an op, just like I think MTG, Tucker, and everybody else is an op. But I don't think they thought how far that they would take it. I think Cohen went to go see, how far they would go, and I don't think they ever thought that could go that far. Like, no matter what stage you're at in that prosecution, it's like, well, Michael Cohen's lied to Congress. Yeah, we're still going to trust him. Michael Cohen just admitted to stealing $50,000 from Donald Trump on the stand. Yeah, we're still going to trust him. Okay, you have to have this other crime. Well, the jury can make up their own crime as long as they all believe. They don't have to believe in the same crime was committed or intention to commit a same crime. They just have to believe a crime. Okay, we'll go with that. The judge's daughter is fundraising on this trial right now. That's okay. It's his daughter. It's not him. It's his daughter. That's okay. I mean, you just look at how fucking far they went in that case to go after him. Oh, Stormy Daniels, there's a signed sworn letter from Stormy Daniels that she never had sex with Donald Trump. Oh, it's not a crime, actually, what Donald Trump did. Catch and kills are very normal. It happens all the time. Like, you just look at every single, like, Donald Trump and Michael Cohen got them to show their ass in a way that, like, most people don't understand. Most people don't understand how much corruption they exposed in the Manhattan court system with that trial, with that 34-count felony conviction that's still in the appellate courts. It was beautiful. It was a thing of genius. All right. Let's keep moving on. Where do we go to next? Oh, so Trump was talking about tariffs in that thing, saying in that interview with Michael Cohen, saying, wait till you see the tariffs when they come back. Wait till you see. And then we got this from Secretary Bessent.
Target received a $1 billion refund for tariffs. What does that say about the size, besides the fact that it was done so quickly and efficiently, the refund, but what does it say about the amount of Chinese-made goods and foreign-made goods that our retailers are still selling in the United States?
Yeah, well, what it says is that the Democratic attorney generals who filed a ridiculous lawsuit against this administration wanted the money to go back to the payer of record. So that is corporate welfare. The American people had that money. And if I hear another Democratic legislator make the inane remark, the American people should get the money, the American people had the money in the U.S. Treasury, and we were forced to give it back. But using the 301s, which have survived more than 5,000 suits, that we will get that tariff income back. But what you are seeing is that we don't know the discount that Target got from the Chinese suppliers. So, this is a corporate bonanza, which I said it would be at the time.
Secretary, real quick.
One of the most glaring pushbacks on the media, because that was their narrative for the entire time. For the entire time, they were telling us that tariffs are a tax on the people, right? Tariffs. Trump is trying to make you go broke by putting these tariffs because it's a tax on you. And then they sue, and Target wins and gets $1 billion. And it's like, wait, it was a tax on us. Why aren't we getting the $1 billion? It wasn't a tax on Target. That was literally their talking point in the mainstream media. The corporations don't pay these tariffs. They tax you guys for it. Tariffs are tax on the people. The companies aren't going to pay it. And then Target gets $1 billion. As I think it was Chris, perhaps, on Friday said, maybe that was a payoff for their DEI transgender garbage that tanked their stock back in 2023. Maybe. But wow, Bessent just going ham on them right there. Let's go. Fight that shit. I'm going to move through these next stories before we get in. We got some geopolitics and some election stuff that we're going to talk about as well. We can do kind of like a rapid fire here. ABC News, Minnesota sues Texas governor to compel extradition of ICE agent for trial. Abbott came out and did a press conference. I had it up. I'm not going to play it. But he does a press conference. He's like, you want us to extradite this ICE agent? Then go after the fraud in Minnesota. And, okay, fair enough. That's cool. I get it. That's whatever. But this is not the hill to die on. I said this on Daily as well. This is not the hill for Abbott to die on with this. This guy, Christian Castro, the ICE agent, he's wrong. And he needs to go to prison for what he did. All right. I know some people are just so full blown back the blue no matter what that they don't understand that what this guy did was a crime. This guy was following somebody home. I'm not saying that was a crime. He was following him home. The guy went inside of his house. Well, no, the story that he told authorities, that he told the ICE agents, his bosses. Wow, that's a big great white. That was cool. He said that he was attacked by the guy in the front yard with a snow shovel, which can be a deadly weapon, a snow shovel and a broom, and that he had to shoot him. And people were like, "Oh yeah, see, he was attacked by a shovel. You gotta let him go," and blah blah blah. And then we got the video. And it turns out that the suspects both went inside the house before, he got that close to them. He was still quite a ways away. They both went inside the house. He went up to the front door. Apparently, I think he knocks on it. I haven't seen the video in a while. But then he shoots blindly through the closed door. And he hits the guy in the leg. And the bullet goes through and ends up lodged in the wall of a kid's room. That is not the case that you want to die on, the hill you want to die on. All right. Again, I always will give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt. Almost always. But this one was no bueno. And then he lied about it. That's what makes it infinitely worse. But he lied about it because he knew it was a crime. He knew what he did was downright a crime. So not a good look for Abbott to be riding this one hard. Now, this story here, I think this story is going to be fascinating to watch unfold. Former Anoka County assistant attorney and 3 others charged for running a disturbing sex trafficking ring. So this assistant prosecutor, 57-year-old, a 57-year-old Frank Reeves was running the operation, and this assistant attorney, Andrea Sampson, was doing like all the business side of it. She was doing the books and she was setting up the shell companies and everything else. They were working on recruitment. It says the group recruited women and posted commercial sex advertisements on a website that they owned, and then collected money from the victims posted online. Sampson was responsible for creating and maintaining shell companies through which to launder money, the charges say. Now, you jump down here. Oh, did they take it out? No, it's down here. Wow, my highlights went away down here. Maybe they changed it. So let me reread this and make sure that they didn't edit this and change it. Moriarty said that Reeves, Sampson, Comosh, and Thomas were all taken into custody. Marvin Steele, who previously worked for Sampson, that's the assistant prosecutor, says he noticed strange behavior at his job with home felt assisted living. Quote, it was mostly communication through text messages. She only came to pick up the clients and take them to an appointment. That's the only time you'll see her, really. It was known one of the clients does occasionally go and get a prostitute every now and then. Steele says Sampson always touted herself as doing everything by the book. She loves to talk about how she does everything legally. She's a lawyer. She knows what she's doing. She knows the law. It's funny to find out that she's not doing everything legally. So she was laundering money through home felt assisted living, it sounds like, in Minnesota. And I'm wondering if this is why no officials were going after the Somali fraud and everything else that's come out, because that sure sounds like the Somali fraud. Quality Leering Center, right? They were daycares, hospice services, and home assisted livings, and transportation. She was doing both. I'll bet you, when she was picking up the customers, she was billing for it. I'll bet you she was billing for it. And then she was laundering money that way. That's crazy. I think we're going to end up seeing that. Watch. This woman is going to be rolled out in the fraud claims right there. I think that needs to be investigated. What else are we going to get into? Bitcoin has been on an absolute tear. Check this out. President Trump this week.
We launched Project Crypto to modernize rules so that our financial markets can move into blockchain technology. I established the United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, making Bitcoin a permanent asset of the United States Treasury, which has turned out incredibly well. I also created the United States Digital Asset Stockpile to hold custody of all other digital assets, and that's exactly what it's done. It's been amazing. 1 year ago this summer, I signed landmark legislation known as the Genius Act. I named it after myself. I didn't want to use my name, so I just called it the Genius Act, paving the way for widespread adoption of dollar-backed stablecoins. And that's worked out very well. Every single American benefits enormously from our country's status as the financial center of the world, and we want to keep it that way. We're leading by leaps and bounds. We've gained so much in the last 16 months like nobody can believe, actually. Not only that, but we have more money being invested in the United States than any country at any time in history. Money's coming in by the trillions. Our nation's economic dominance drives trillions of dollars in investments, creates millions of jobs, and expands access, credit, and capital so that every citizen has a chance to achieve what we now hear a lot about, the American dream. Young people are looking for the American dream. They weren't thinking about that 2 years ago. New financial technologies are extending this American dominance into the 21st century, and that's why we're focused on creating a clear regulatory framework for pioneers and builders like the people that are with me here, so that they can do business with confidence on American soil. They don't have to go to other countries.
All right. So Bitcoin responded pleasantly to that, among other things. It was up, I think it's up around 77,000 right now, 76,900. So good day for Bitcoin there. All right, let's go ahead and, oh, what the heck? Did I just get cut off? No, I'm still live. Why did Rumble Studio go to this ad? Why? What the heck? Hold on, guys. It signed me out of Rumble Studio midstream. Are we still live? Okay, yeah, we're still live. That's really weird. It like just signed me out. I don't even know how it did that. I don't even know how the heck did that happen? All right, let's go ahead and let's hit a sponsor real quick. We haven't done a sponsor yet. All right, guys, you probably noticed Rumble is not slowing down. More creators, more content, and a platform that's actually putting users and speech first. And if you're watching here regularly, there's a way to upgrade your entire experience. Right now, Rumble is running a limited time summer sale on Rumble Premium, and it's the lowest price they've ever offered. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content that you actually came for. Plus, you'll unlock exclusive content from top creators like Steven Crowder, Dr. Disrespect, special live events, and more that you won't see anywhere else. Here's the deal. Normally, Rumble Premium is $99 a year, but during the summer sale, you can lock it in for $69 per year for life. For life. What does that come out to? That's like a little over $5 a month. That's fantastic. Not just 1 year. Every year you stay subscribed, you keep that $69 rate. There's no promo code, no extra steps. Just go to rumble.com/premium, and the summer sale price is already applied. Again, that's rumble.com/premium to lock in the lowest price Rumble's ever offered, ad-free, exclusive content, and a price that never goes back up, only if you grab it before the summer sale ends. All right. I think you also get that little check mark too, I think. The little, that's a verified. I don't know if that's premium. I'm not sure. Rumble TV app is back to kicking me out again, probably doing updates. Maybe that is it. Maybe they did an update. I sent the email today. I'm like, yo, why are we not, like, why can I not get this show on, like, the homepage? Like, how can I, this show is not new. This is not live. Like, you should have all of your live streams on your homepage as featured. This is SB Mowing. Oh, this guy's actually kind of cool. I do follow this guy. He, like, goes out there and cuts people's grass, like, that have, like, overgrown yards. It's kind of cool. I dig it. But, yeah, I don't know. Sean Ryan got an 18-minute segment up here. Come on, guys. Get the live stuff up. All right. Let's get back into the news. I got another tab that I got to open up here now, so bear with me for 2 seconds. And do you guys, let's talk a little geopolitics. Let's go a little geopolitical here. So President Trump this week, I got to change the tab here to that tab. I've paused the 50% tariffs. This was on the 18th. I've paused the 50% tariffs against Canada that were scheduled to kick in tomorrow morning for a 3-day period based on the fact that Canada and the USA, subject to the finalization of documents, have a deal. The Great Keystone XL pipeline, long ago killed by sleepy Joe Biden, may be awoken from the grave. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Let's go. Last minute deal. It's funny how those tend to always happen with him. Another Truth Social post. Based on my very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, I'm not happy with the fact that the United States has long ago agreed to participate in joint military exercises with South Korea. These exercises are not only costly, with much of these costs paid for by the United States of America, as usual, but they send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that, as long as Donald J. Trump has been president, has been unthreatening and respectful. Therefore, based on the fact that it is too late to cancel, I've instructed the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to substantially reduce the joint military exercises. While somewhat unrelated, I recently asked the President of South Korea if they would like to join us in the denuclearization of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they said, no thanks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So Trump has taken two shots there. First, he's saying we're going to pull back our joint military exercises. Okay. Joint military exercises are flexes. They're ways to collect information when you're in a particular region. We do them all over the place. Pulling back from them is a very, very friendly message to Kim Jong-un, to China, to a lot of people. And again, going back to the multipolar spheres of influence from the National Security Assessment that he put out earlier this year, I should say. This is on par with all of that. But then there was an interesting article that came out, I think it was yesterday, that President Trump is teasing a potential meetup with Kim Jong-un. All right. It says, I get along with him very well, Trump told reporters. I expected to meet with him later this year. Yeah, I will be. North Korea rejected, however, the suggestion of the two leaders meeting. Quote, the relationship between the two leaders remains excellent, says Kim Yo-jong, the sister of Kim Jong-un. However, U.S.'s hostile policy towards the Democratic People's Republic of Korea has not changed. So Trump declined whether to say he'd been exchanging letters with Kim Jong-un, telling reporters, quote, I can't tell you that. Quote, I know Kim Jong-un very well, and he's going to be fine as long as we have a smart president, Trump told reporters. If we have a dumb president, then he's probably not going to be fine. He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons. They should have never allowed it. If I were president, I never would have allowed it, but now he's got them. So Trump is trying to get this meeting with him, and I think this could actually be what happened. I think Trump might have actually tried, and Kim Jong-un was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Donnie. Donnie, I can't meet with you, man. You guys are still being kind of jacked up towards us. Why are you being so jacked up towards us? And Trump's like, watch this. I got you, bro. Hey, South Korea, we're not doing those joint military operations anymore. Those things are stupid. You don't pay for them. We pay for them. You're not really our ally. You pretend to be our ally. You're an intelligence hub. That's all you are. So we're not doing it anymore. In fact, I'm going to go meet with Kim Jong-un. That meeting's going to happen. Watch. All right. Going through these real quick here. Turkey's strategic depth is now part of Israel's military calculus. So Turkey struck a runway in Syria. It was kind of, they didn't want to admit it. And then Tom Barrack, our ambassador, the U.S. ambassador to Turkey, longtime friend of President Trump, he came out and said it. And then Israel was like, shit, cat's out the bag. We better fess up to this. And so they said, yeah, we bombed it. But it was only because Turkey was going to be going there and trying to set up a base there. It's 45 miles from Turkey's border, by the way. It's not like it's like a 1,000-mile trip or something. It's 45 miles from the border. We go further than that for dinner sometimes. No, we don't. But you know, maybe. But here, this is the key takeaway. So this is from Israel Hayom, which is a pro-government Israeli media outlet. Israel did not wait for the Turkish troops' aircraft radar or air defense systems. It destroyed the infrastructure required to receive them before the threat became entrenched. The operational rule is denial before things are entrenched. Before Turkish troops arrive, the target is infrastructure. However, once they arrive, or after they arrive, striking it also risks Turkish casualties, retaliation, American intervention, and confrontation with a NATO member. Those costs alter the calculation, but not Israel's authority to decide. The first Turkish soldier changes the price of every Israeli bomb that follows, but he does not decide whether it falls. Jerusalem has studied not only how NATO's Article 5 operates, but where it applies. The treaty protects Turkish territory. Turkish troops do not carry that territory with them into Syrian or occupied Cypriot and Cyprus soil. Turkish vessels, is Cypriot Syrian or Cyprus? I think Cypriot is Cyprus. I'll look it up. Turkish vessels and aircraft operating in the Mediterranean raise separate treaty questions. But even where Article 5 applies, collective action is not automatic. NATO acts by consensus. What? And each member state determines the response that it deems necessary. So Israel is literally redefining what NATO's Article 5 is. And this is something that we were, I mean, they just railed that into our brains during the Ukraine-Russia war. Like, if something happens to Poland, we're going to have to get involved. Like that, it's like, it activates Article 5 no matter what. And I'm like, whoa. Article 5, the NATO Charter, the NATO Treaty cannot supersede the United States Constitution. And so we are not beholden to that in any way, shape, or form. NATO cannot say something that would trump our Constitution. So Article 5 can F all the way off. And we were told, like, oh, you guys are Putin simps. You guys are. And now you have Israel coming out and saying, well, we've been studying this, and it actually turns out that our Article 5 is kind of nothing, and it's kind of just up to you guys if you want to do anything with it. And yeah, you know, it's you don't have to follow it. Oh, where were you guys on this a while back? Let me see what Cypriot is. Turkish Cypriots is from Cyprus. Yeah, native of Cyprus. Okay, I didn't. So all right. Anyways, Turkish Cypriots. So anyways, that's just the story there. That was just fascinating to me, how we've now changed the goalposts. We're moving the goalposts. So here's another story. We'll go over to Ukraine. Speaking of it, New York Post, Ukrainian defector killed by Russian woman with hidden trash bin bomb on Kyiv's orders. So this was a woman who basically placed a bomb in a trash can. She was a spy, a Ukrainian spy. She sat there and monitored this guy, tracked him, don't get complacent, and put a bomb in a trash can that he would walk by and knew he would walk by, and then detonated it, and then turned herself in like right after, which is really weird for a spy to do. Also, the guy that she murdered was a submarine captain. He controlled part of the Ukrainian subfleet in Crimea around the Crimean annexation. So he wasn't a Ukrainian service member during the conflict that just went on. Now he was going back to the Maidan era, where he was a commander in Crimea. And it's interesting because it says that he defected to Russia, but it also makes it kind of sound like he took his fleet with him. Like he took the subs over to Russia with him. But it doesn't explicitly say that. It just sounds like that. But here's the biggest takeaway from this story. This was the assassin. 32-year-old Russian escort facing 30 years in deadly trash can bombing. Margarita Root is accused of planting a bomb in a Sevastopol that killed Ukrainian defector. She has been remanded on terrorism charges leading to death. It's funny how that works. I wonder if she was maybe getting a little freaky deaky. Then we got another story out of Ukraine from RT. Nord Stream suspect arrested on Hollywood movie set. This is relating to the Nord Stream pipeline. Croatian police arrested a Ukrainian man taking part in the Nord Stream pipeline attack while he was on the set filming a Hollywood thriller based on the 2022 sabotage operation. That Ukrainian national, Vladimir Zuravalov, was arrested while on the set of Snake Island, a movie about the supposed Ukraine plot to destroy the pipeline. The movie is starring Sean Penn. And Adrian Brody, Sean Penn, like that dude is just intelligence through and through. And Adrian Brody, and directed by Doug Liman of The Bourne Identity. Snake Island began filming in Zagreb earlier this month. It is unclear whether Zhuravlov was on the set as an actor, an advisor, or a guest of Penn and Brody. And then this is my favorite part right here. Although Snake Island will reportedly focus on the Nord Stream operation, its name is a reference to a Ukrainian island in the mouth of the Danube estuary, which was captured by Russian forces in 2022. In true Hollywood fashion, Ukrainian and Western media claimed that Ukrainian soldiers on the island refused to surrender to the Russian Navy, radioing, quote, "Russian warship, go fuck yourself," to the Moskva-guided missile cruiser. In reality, the garrison on the island immediately surrendered. Ukrainian forces tried and failed to recapture the island several times throughout 2022 before Russian forces departed in June. Leave it to Hollywood to completely... So when they say based on a true story, you're like going to watch this movie and be like, yeah, they were heroic. Well, I mean, that's not exactly true. They probably fought really hard, right? And maybe they didn't quite, fight hard enough. Nope. They surrendered right away. There was no fight. But Hollywood's going to completely change that. Zhuravlov has evaded the German authorities twice already. While once living in Poland in 2024, he fled to Ukraine in a vehicle belonging to a Ukrainian military attaché. Then the second time he returned to Poland and was detained there in September 2025. But a Warsaw court rejected Berlin's extradition request, arguing that, quote, blowing up critical infrastructure during a war is not sabotage, but denotes a military action. So I wonder if he was taking this, if Poland actually knows something about this guy. Like, was this guy actually acting on behalf of NATO countries? As a collective or as individuals? According to the warrant, Zhuravlov, a trained diver, is accused of planting explosives as part of a group committing sabotage and destroying infrastructure. He is expected to be extradited to Germany. And then lastly, Moscow has dismissed the Ukrainian frogmen theory as fantasy, arguing that such a complex operation could not have been carried out in NATO-controlled waters by a small group without state assistance or Western intelligence involvement. Russian President Vladimir Putin has backed a version put forward by Seymour Hersh that claimed the CIA and Norwegian Navy, acting on direct orders from Joe Biden, used NATO military exercises in the Baltic Sea in 2022 as a cover to plant remotely triggered explosive devices on the Nord Stream lines. I'm in on that theory. And again, this is a conversation Chris and I had on Friday as well. If the Nord Stream was actually blown up, and it wasn't just turned off, just like Chris said, flip a switch and all of a sudden it's not pumping anymore. If this story is true, it all points to that second. The Seymour Hersh thing holds the most weight in this story. If this story is believed to be true. Like, we're going to go down this whole, like, actors and porn stars. Oh, yeah, there's porn stars in this story. I forgot to mention that. There's porn stars in this. How a Ukrainian erotic model led the deep-sea Nord Stream sabotage mission. This was back in June. So just a couple months ago, you've got this fiery Ukrainian model. We don't even get a picture of her. That's what kind of crap is that? You're going to tease us with a Ukrainian erotic model and not give us like a teaser? Like, let's see what we're working with here. Are we talking like this kind of model, or are we talking like, I don't know. So again, I'm going with the Hersh story. What seems like more sense? A trained special operations diver, a porn star. Who were the rest? There was a couple others that were involved. I can't even remember anymore. Oh, now they're making a Hollywood movie about it. They rented this small little tiny boat. You can actually see it. Is it in this picture? No, it's not in this article either. I don't know where that one went. But they allegedly they rented like this small little sailboat, and they went out there and they went 600 feet deep or 250 feet deep or whatever it was. They placed the explosives. They got out of there undetected and everything else. Okay. Or, like I said on Daily, could it possibly have been the joint NATO exercises taking place in that region, including underwater drones, Could it have been that paired with the P8 Poseidon Sub Hunter, which can drop charges down, can drop all sorts of things down? Could it have been that did it, if this story is real? I'm going to go with that. Oh, also, by the way, Robert Kagan and Joe Biden both have alluded in the past, very recent past, that Nord Stream will be shut down. Yeah, it's totally the porn star and the frogman. They were on the boat. Yeah. Maybe that was the cover. Dude, that's it. That's the cover. That's the cover right there. I solved the crime. They were going out to film a new OnlyFans. And the part of the OnlyFans that they were going to film was going to be like a frogman, like erotic encounter. That's the story. I solved it. Totally kidding, guys. Absolutely kidding. And then, what else we got? I think that's all we got on geopolitics. I still got some more stuff. I got election stuff. Of course I got election stuff. It's me. Save the best for last. All right, let's get out of that tab. Let's jump around here. Yep, here's the election stuff. There's my election tab. And ASMR. I'm doing ASMR. That's creepy as fuck. When I look at myself, I'm... That's creepy. All right. Yeah, I just started making noises while I'm doing this. All right, let's get back into America. Let's go away from Ukraine, Israel, NATO, and all of that stuff. Rick Scott, man. Rick Scott was like full blown, like railing on Turkey. Like, you gotta stop. Be a NATO ally, Turkey. Leave Israel alone. Leave Israel alone. It's like Israel's bombing Turkey, guys. How about Israel stop fucking around with NATO before they find out? Like, you're going to find out. You're going to find out, Israel. If you go after Turkey, you're going to find out. Because not only are they Article 5 triggered from us, Saudis, you're going to have all the Middle East go after you if you go after Turkey. And I know I've heard Ghost say Israel is going to pair up with Ukraine, Greece perhaps, and good luck with that. Good luck with that. That's all I got to say about that. You smoking again? No, not yet. I have not started smoking again yet. I will be very, very soon. Maybe tonight, but very soon I will be. It's been since April. I'm not like jonesing, but I do miss it. Like I've been like, I should just smoke a joint tonight, relax. But I think I'm going to now. Maybe maybe I need it for my back. I do need it for my back. Sounds like a bay alligator. I think you mean baby alligator. I agree with you. It does sound like a baby alligator. I am a nut. A cool nut, but I am a nut. All right. We should probably hit another sponsor before we get into the election Asawavana segment of the show, but we will be doing that. And before we do that, guys, we hear a lot about crypto. Been talking a lot about crypto. Just today we were talking about it. But here's the part that most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own and control your money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of a bank holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you are in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, go ahead and fast forward to today, and everybody has heard of crypto. But getting started still feels kind of complicated. That's exactly why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all the complexity and it makes it simple. Choose what you want, whether it's Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. There's no complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank, and you're up and running in just minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. All right, and thank you to Rumble Wallet. Had a rant as well come in, and want to say thank you to Sue A. Grant. Happy anniversary, Brian and Christy. Why is that not showing there? Nope. No. There we go. Oh, I'm zoomed out too far. Happy anniversary, Brian and Christy. Thank you so much, Sue Grant. Appreciate that. It is our 17th anniversary today. 17 glorious years. All right, so this was a clip from this week, getting into with Andy Beshear.
Also finds rank and file down.
The governor, Democrat governor in one of the reddest states in the country, Kentucky.
Democrats want leaders to be pushing for making big changes, not smaller ones, even if they're easier to do. Also says they want to feel like the party is, as you said, fighting for them. What is then?
Yeah, I think people.
Well, what I'm curious about is given they're looking for big ideas, what would be your biggest, boldest idea that you're promoting these days?
Well, I'll give you two, because people want you to fix the darn economy, and they want you to fix the darn government. On the economy, it is time for an aspirational investment in housing that can bring down the cost of especially first-time home ownership. People can actually see that progress all over the country. We ought to tie the federal dollars to speed. You've got to break ground, and you've got to do it quickly. Get through the overregulation and the NIMBYism. But I tell you what, people also think this government is broken.
Yep.
So a fix the darn government constitutional amendment, it is time. It should outlaw partisan redistricting and enshrine part of the Voting Rights Act right there in the Constitution. It should create term limits for Congress and the Supreme Court. No more gaming those appointments. It should also overturn Citizens United, and I think call for direct elections of the president and the vice president. That could.
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there because I'm not going to lie. I agree with like half of those things. Let's go back and listen.
People also think this government is broken.
Okay, the government is broken. There's no question about that. Our government is fundamentally broken.
So a fix the darn government constitutional amendment, it is.
Okay, that I don't know how you put that out there, but he had to invoke darn to get him the grassroots guys like, oh, this guy's one of us. He says darn. You got to fix the darn government.
It's time. It should outlaw partisan redistricting. And
we just outlawed partisan redistricting, dumbass. You guys were the ones that were literally partisan redistricting. You were using racial gerrymanders to district, to draw district lines. You don't want to outlaw partisan redistricting because it will not bode well for you guys. Because you will have maps like, so what they do right now is they'll take a major metropolitan area and they'll divide it into like 5 sections and work outward from there, rather than just taking the whole area, putting it into one district. Like, take the whole area, put it in one district, and that's your district. But instead, what they do is they'll take like a corner here, a corner here, a corner here, a corner here, and they'll go outward and absorb as much with that densely populated metropolitan area. They'll go outward and absorb as much land mass as they can that tends to be more conservative until they reach the point where you can no longer outweigh that dense population with how far out you go. You know what I mean? So there's still like it's a way to take a small center of gravity and turn it into 5 or 6 centers of gravity by expanding it out. You don't want us to get rid of that, because that's the only way that Democrats stay relevant in Congress. Okay? Again, I hate the Democrat-Republican thing, but that's what he's talking from that viewpoint.
Enshrine part of the Voting Rights Act right there in the Constitution. It should create term limits for Congress and the Supreme Court.
Okay, again, Supreme Court I could see. I could understand the Supreme Court. Term limits, 15 years, something like that. Congress, not so much. And I would be okay with term limits, but pretty high. 16 years for the House, 20 years for the Senate. Something like that. I don't want to see 8 years, 12 years, like Ash said on Wednesday, and she it's an excellent point. If we have free and fair elections, you don't need term limits. If elections are actually free and fair, and you have legitimate representation through a legitimate consensus of the people, you don't need term limits.
No more gaming those appointments. It should also overturn Citizens United.
Oh my gosh, that is the best part that I've heard the whole thing. Overturn Citizens United. That is music to my ears. Andy Bashir. Did we just become best friends? No, we didn't. But I can get behind that 100%. And just real quick, for people that don't know, Citizens United was a Supreme Court ruling back in, I think it was 2010, that gave corporations First Amendment rights in politics. They can donate as much as they want to PACs and super PACs. And we are now beholden to these corporations because they can donate millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and we simply cannot. Citizens United is one of the worst fucking decisions you could ever imagine. And then they doubled down in this last docket with NRSC versus FEC, which is equally, maybe not equally, just slightly less bad than Citizens United, which just gave Republicans and Democrat parties, and Trump came out and said this is a great win for the Republicans, and it is, for now. For now. Why? Because the Democrats are getting hammered with Act Blue. They're getting hammered with USAID defunding and a lot of these NGO defundings or the grants that are going down to them. They're trying to cling to the grants as best they can. That's what Susan Collins is doing in the continuing resolution right now on the Appropriations Committee. Get her off the fucking Appropriations Committee, by the way. Just throwing this out there. Get her off the Appropriations Committee. I will go to Maine and campaign against her just to get her off of that committee. I don't care about losing a seat in the Senate. It's a feckless body anyways. But get Susan Collins far the hell away from the Appropriations Committee. Anyways, Citizens United, I'm with you 100%. But what does CBS News, what does this retard behind the table latch on to? The Electoral College.
And I think call for direct elections of the president and the vice president. That could actually make things work. A big idea that would, yes, change government, but in a way enshrined in the Constitution where people would know it's going to get better.
I didn't realize you support abolishing the Electoral College. If you're saying direct election of the president and vice president.
Yeah, I've said it a number of times, and it's because in Kentucky, we will never see a candidate for president or vice president unless they're from here. Why? Because people just expect that it'll go one way or the other. It's the idea that someone would get elected not just knowing about 7 states, but having to earn votes all over the United States. I certainly think it's time.
The poll.
That is the second time we've heard that talking point there, that if we abolish the Electoral College, they're going to have to campaign. And to be honest with you, it is a strong argument, and people will look at that argument and be like, "Oh, that makes more sense," not realizing that the divide in this country into major metropolitan areas is the major factor, and that's why they want to abolish the Electoral College. Or yeah, because if they go straight on the popular vote, they will win almost every election, almost. For now, until we get the elections cleaned up. This is also why they're fighting so hard against the Save America Act, voter roll cleanup, and everything else. It's a two-prong approach here, right? They want to abolish the Electoral College because they have the popular vote right now. Also, the popular vote that they have, a big chunk of those people are fake. They're not real. And a lot of them are illegals, and they're all going out too. So they're like doubling down here. This is a very tumultuous time in our country right now. I don't think people understand how significant it's actually getting right now. Man, this is fascinating to watch all this. All right, Vindeman lost to Angie Nixon, a Democratic socialist. Gotta love it. Got the Kornacki cam up. He's my new favorite person on TV after the Francesca Hong situation last week. He might be my new favorite person. So then we've got President Trump truthing out. Sleazebag Vindeman loses tonight to a radical left lunatic. How cool is that? Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Vindeman, the Ukrainian impeachment facilitator. Darlene Graham. Oh man, President Trump just campaigned for her in South Carolina, and it was. I didn't even watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I got to see how they responded to her. I'm going to watch it, but this was her during her debate with Ralph Norman in the Republican primaries.
That is just not true. It's like all these ads you're placing. It's fake. No, what happened was I was on the budget committee. We had another bite at the apple. When you're in the business arena, you drive the hardest bargain as long as you can. I held out, and when we came to the office, it wasn't anything like what you're talking about. It was. He said, "What are you holding it up for?" I said, "Well, the subsidies for electric cars is dumb. The subsidies for passive solar and wind are stupid." I was cutting it out, and we made it better. He agreed, and so we got it passed, and I would do that over again. I don't apologize for
it. Senator, if you want to respond, or we can move on. It's your choice.
That's okay. We'll move on.
That's okay. We'll move on. We'll move on. You just slung all that mud. Your ads is what Ralph Norman was responding to with that comeback. Ralph Norman is responding to ads that you put out about what he did. He justified it, came back firing at you. We'll just move on. I don't know, man. This idea that somehow she's like the sister of Lindsey Graham, so she should be taking over that seat is freaking absurd. Freaking absurd. Like, the rule number one in a debate is if you're given the mic back, you talk. You talk. Even if you talk about something completely different. Hells Bay, says she is arguably as dumb as AOC. I don't think so. She's just not qualified for this job. I think Darlene Graham is actually probably pretty smart. AOC is also pretty smart. Neither one are qualified for the jobs they're doing. Darlene Graham is absolutely not qualified. And, this was something me and Alpha were arguing on Thursday. If you want to become a senator, you don't just jump in there without any real world experience that would somehow make you like Senate material. And what I mean by that, you work your way up through, the House, learn politics. If you're going the politician route, you can also go the businessman route. Like we've had a lot of people. What's the guy from Ohio? Bernie Moreno, businessman route, right? He ran businesses. Okay, he's going that route. That's fine. But she's like an ophthalmologist or like a speech therapist or I don't know. She's in social services, I think, right? Just because you're the brother of Lindsey Graham or sister of Lindsey Graham doesn't make you qualified. And, this whole thing, like, well, she was honest and I appreciate the honesty. Well, let's play the next clip. Hold on. Let's play the next clip before we get all crazy here. Here we go. This is the next clip.
National security question as well. Senator, are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? If so, why?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States, and if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security, but I do support the military. My brother was in the Air Force for 33 years, so I will do everything I can to support the military. My dad was in the Army. I'm not a polished politician up here. National security is not my thing, not my area of expertise, but I do support the military.
Congressman, I'll give you a chance to respond, and I'm sure he recognizes that.
Taiwan's a definite ally, and we have a trading relationship with them that is beneficial to the United States. Chips being one of them, and others. So what the president is doing right is he's enabling Taiwan to defend themselves against China. But it's peace through strength that he's showing with Iran that China, Russia.
All right. I mean, that's a better answer. I still don't like that answer. We don't acknowledge Taiwan as an independent country officially. We officially don't. So, the whole, and there's a reason that question, that was such a softball question. You could have gone any way with that question. Now, my answer right there, that the United States does not officially recognize Taiwan as an independent nation, is the unpopular one with the neocons, the establishment. Like, if somebody is giving the answer Ralph Norman is giving right there, that concerns me. That concerns me. But at the same time, I understand the significance of Taiwan's manufacturing and their semiconductors and the production that they're able to value, the value they provide to us. But the bottom line is it's not worth going to war with China over Taiwan. Period. But what Darlene Graham did there, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. That was not like some crazy question like, what do you think about the Cypriots in Syria? And, do you think the Turkish Cypriots should... That was the Gary Johnston Aleppo moment right there back in, 2012? That was the Aleppo moment. Gary Johnson had so much momentum, and I think it was 2012 against Obama and Romney. And Johnson was like, this guy could actually... And then the Aleppo. What's Aleppo? That was front and center at the time. Speaking of... So Sean Hannity... Oh, actually, no, hold on. There's one more. This was put out by Chad Caton, shared this on X.
Nothing too difficult here. All right. Beautiful.
Did you catch that hot mic in the beginning there?
Nothing too difficult here.
Nothing too difficult here.
Nothing too difficult here. All right. Beautiful. So, yesterday...
That's crazy. That's crazy. You're a journalist. You're interviewing a candidate, and you're telling her up ahead, nothing too difficult here. Well, of course, I don't know why people are trying so hard to get this woman elected. She is unelectable. Hannity had to throw her another softball since she missed the softball of all softballs, China, Taiwan. And like I said, you could have went any way with that answer. You could have went any way with that answer, but you have to show that you at least understand what's going on in that situation, in that region.
Yeah, and to be fair, if people want to judge you on the South China Sea and Taiwan, okay, I think that's fair. But I bet, based on all your time with your brother, that you know probably everything about the Middle East, because he went on one trip after another to every country in the Middle East. And I know you know a lot about Europe and the Ukraine-Russia situation, because he went to Ukraine more than any other senator. And you even said in our interview that you were going to focus more on domestic issues than your brother did. I mean, you were very clear.
Absolutely. I know national security is important. We have a wonderful commander-in-chief. I know that we need to stand with the Israel, and the issues in Iran are serious. I understand.
You know geopolitics because your brother's Lindsey Graham. You have to know. You know everything about the Middle East because Lindsey Graham is your brother. I mean, my sister is a registered nurse. She has her MBA. I know about MBAs, but not because of her. Or I know about business administration, but not because of her. I know about it because I ran businesses. But I couldn't tell you shit about NICU, neonatal intensive care for babies. Couldn't tell you the first thing about that. I know how to give a baby the Heimlich, but that was because of my mom. But I know how to give a baby the Heimlich, and that's it. That's all I could tell you about saving a baby's life. But your sister's a NICU nurse. So? I don't know shit about it. I don't. My father-in-law is a computer programmer. I don't know shit about computer programming. Who else? My stepdad was a pharmacist, raised me for 35 years. I don't know shit about pharmacy. I mean, this is so bad. This is so bad. I got to get, when's their primary? Their primary is this Tuesday, isn't it? I think it's this Tuesday. When is the South Carolina? When is the South Carolina primary? I think it's this Tuesday. August 11th. Oh, it was already held? No, a special primary runoff is scheduled Tuesday, August 25th. Okay, so the 25th. So in 3 days. Between Graham and Norman. Graham and Norman. All right. Fox News. Hey, you remember what I was telling you guys about Michael Cohen and the ops and everything else? Look at this one. Trump urged to stop targeting fellow Republicans as GOP fights to keep the majority. Why does the GOP deserve the majority? Somebody fucking tell me this. Well, if we don't have the majority, the Democrats will get it. So what? So what? We filibuster everything anyways. And if we don't filibuster everything, it'll be the most revealing thing you could ever imagine. After the last 2 years of filibustering, the last 2 years of blocking appointments, after the last 2 years of all that shit, give them a simple majority in the Senate. Let's see what happens. Let's stop the government dead in its tracks. We always love the government shutdowns. Let's stop the government dead in its tracks. Let's give a Republican House, which I think we'll maintain because of the redistricting. Let's get a Republican House, a Democrat Senate, and let Trump go to work. Fuck these people, man. Seriously. Well, why do we need it? We need a GOP. We shouldn't be focused on the Save America Act. We should instead be focused on getting more Republicans elected so we can be completely feckless for another 2 years and kick the second Trump can down the road. I'm kid you not. That's what they say here. Let me get the highlights pulled back up here. I apologize. John Thune, man, like... So, Senate Republicans worry that their secret weapon on the campaign trail, President Donald Trump, isn't making a strong enough case to voters that there needs to be more Republicans in the upper chamber. Trump's pressure to pass the election integrity measure, the Save America Act, and his tendency to bash Republicans for not getting it done has placed vulnerable incumbents between a rock and a hard place. John Thune told Fox News that while some Republicans are making promises to voters that the bill could pass right now, the better tact would be to push why more Republicans are needed in the Senate. For what? For what? For what? Quote, the president made the argument, well, pass the Save America Act. It will motivate our base, Thune said. Yeah, but I think the base can be plenty motivated by other issues, and particularly by the president getting out there on the campaign trail and telling them why it's important that they elect Republicans to the Senate. What other issues? Well, I think our message between now and November ought to be why Democrats are completely out of step with the American people and why we need to elect more Republicans so we can do things like the Save America Act. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? 83, 87, 89, 100% of Americans support the Save America Act, the concepts in it. And you guys have done nothing to it, and you want us to go out and vote in the same elections that we're trying to fix as citizens, that we're trying to force you, not to fix it, just to enforce the laws that are already on the books. Voter ID, citizenship before voting, limited mail-in balloting, severely limited. And you guys are just like, nah, we need more Republicans. Fuck you, man. I'm so done with this shit. I'm so done with the Republican Party. This is why I checked out of this system so long ago. You guys are feckless. You guys are absolutely feckless. You are maintaining a system that is designed never to move in one direction or the other. It's designed to stay right where it's at right now. $40 trillion in debt with fake elections, forever war. Like, you have designed the system to stay this way. President Trump is trying to break this system up. I can't wait until after the 2026 midterms when Trump is a bull in a china shop. I can't fucking wait, man. I cannot effing wait. Just to back that up here, the Census Bureau begun checking the voter records from 2020 against the citizenship records. On the first 128,000, they proved that 24,000 non-citizens voted illegally. The Census Bureau is going to analyze the next 32 million, and this number will explode. I won the election. We must pass the Save America Act. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I want to see this number, the 32 million voters that will explode. You have to assume that President Trump knows something about those numbers. I want to see it. Steve Bannon put this out, and I'm agreeable with Bannon here. I am in line with what Bannon's saying, but there's one key thing here that I think is deliberate. Let me pull up the actual post here. There's a high likelihood, as I write this, that the GOP will suffer a congressional wipeout in November, losing both the House and the Senate, dramatically shifting the balance of power in Washington and stalling the Trump agenda in its tracks. It's already stalled, Steve. It's already completely stalled. Trump is still getting work done that he can do through the executive. But in terms of the stuff that he needs Congress for, they're not fucking doing anything. Mark my word, if November 4th is cold and rainy, traditional Republican voters who would have crawled over broken glass to support Trump in 24 will stay home watching SportsCenter instead of braving the elements to vote for a lackluster candidate. Believe me, Democrats smell blood and will act accordingly. The GOP needs to get its ground game quickly or face a turnout debacle. In short order, the Republicans lose 4 to 5 Senate seats, maybe more. Time will tell, but the past is prologue. We'll see. We'll see. I think we regain the House. The Calais decision is going to give us, I think, some pretty solid red districts. I think we keep the House and maybe lose the Senate. Maybe 49. We'll see what happens. Elections are totally fake. Bannon, you should know this. I know you know this. And this is kind of the insanity that, you know, it's just like, how do you keep just going back and talking back in circles like this? We have done nothing to actually clean up elections at the federal level, especially. I mean, some local governments have done some things. We've exposed a massive shitload of stuff. Nah. But, you know, like you got Bannon kind of dooming out there on that one hand. But then on the other hand, you got fucking Elias dooming out. And I played this clip last week, but I'll play it again.
Look, I think that we need everyone.
Why is it not doing that? There we go.
To do their part, right? So it's an all hands on deck moment. It is certainly at the centerpiece of all of this are the voters. And so every voter, as Sean said, needs to have a plan to vote. They need to make sure they're registered and they need to turn out to vote. But, you know, we can't just send the voters out by themselves, right? We need the lawyers to do their part. And we've seen too much cowardice by too many large law firms. You and I have talked about this before, and so I'll raise it again. You know, in past election cycles, we would be talking about, or you'd be having on this show, representatives of the largest law firms in America, all of whom would be lining up to send people out as poll workers, poll monitors. They'd be filing litigation, and they're largely sidelined. We would be talking about civic leaders and business leaders issuing press releases and giving time off for their workers to go vote.
They're not doing that because there's no money, for one. The money is dried up, for one. For two, they're not doing it because there's no more fucking around with your bullshit. There's no more messing around with this crap. This dark money funding. Act Blue has been destroyed. A lot of that money came from Act Blue. There's no funding for it. And then if they do somehow get funding, they don't want to get rolled up in another SPLC indictment. Like, they know the blood is in the water. The sharks are hungry, and we're coming after you. Wow. Sheba Arista just said all those lawyers need to be shark bait. And I'm saying the blood is in the water. The sharks are circling as I see that chat come in there. Yeah, it's spot on. Check this out. LA Times. Did I talk about this on Saturday's show? I don't think I did. No, I didn't, because this came out on the 17th, so I could not have. LA Times poll showing Karen Bass leading Rahman by double digits was bogus. This company, Median Strategies, put out this is a shocking story. This is a federal crime, in my opinion, I think. A poll claiming that Karen Bass was leading Nithya Rahman by a wide margin and picking up support from most voters who backed Spencer Pratt was bogus, the company acknowledged on Monday. The fake poll by Median Strategies showed Karen Bass leading Rahman by 12 points and said the results were based on a survey of 560 Los Angeles voters. Now listen to this. Listen to this. Quote, Median Strategies was created as a short-term social experiment to examine how purported polling information could enter and spread through the political information ecosystem without independent verification. We are not seeking publicity or attribution for the individuals involved and are declining interviews. The phony poll claims 16% of respondents said they voted for Pratt. And of those 16%, 85% were planning to vote for Karen Bass. 7% would support Rahman. Quote, faced with a choice between the incumbent and a Democratic Socialist of America challenger, most Pratt voters appear to be treating Bass as the more familiar, more moderate option. Median wrote in its analysis, Spencer Pratt voters could be a deciding factor in the LA mayor showdown, according to the latest poll that was run by California Post. Bass even went out there and shared the California Post poll, the Median Strategies poll, and said, quote, doing the work, showing up, and gaining momentum. Let's do this, LA. And then she deleted it when she realized it was fake. They ran a fake poll, got it in a mainstream news outlet, and the whole thing was a social experiment. That is election interference. What happens if nobody caught on? Like, was anybody noted? No ASMR, please. You're welcome, J-Ham. I'm going to do it again now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it again. Deliberately. I might accidentally do it because, like, sometimes I make noises. Anyways, like, how the fuck does that even happen? How is that not a crime? Because people are going to be looking at that and they're like, I voted for Spencer Pratt. I guess Karen Bass is the more moderate candidate. Let me go vote for her. Polls are fake and gay. Polls are fake and gay. All right, that is about going to do it. I think that is the end of what I've got for today. I believe. Yes, it is. Let's hit our final sponsor. All right. Guys, here in Jacksonville, we know that freedom isn't a privilege. It's your fundamental right. Exercising that right means being prepared, properly trained, and equipped with the absolute best. Welcome to our locally owned gun shop, where we stand as proud defenders of your Second Amendment rights. We just don't supply firearms. We protect your way of life by offering a premium, curated inventory of top-tier rifles, handguns, and tactical gear that you can trust with your family's safety. Our mission is to provide the highest level of expert customer service to our community. Whether you are looking for everyday carry, home defense, or custom builds, our knowledgeable team team is here to give you personalized gear recommendations tailored exactly to your needs. We believe that rights go hand in hand with responsibility, and that's why we also provide comprehensive professional training resources to keep your safety skills sharp. Don't compromise when it comes to your rights, your security, or your family's safety. Choose local expertise, commit to professional training, and stand your ground with confidence. We invite you to visit the storefront today or meet the expert team, get your personalized gear recommendations, and explore their professional training resources. Shop by our counter or check out the full inventory online to join a local community that truly values liberty, safety, and responsible gun ownership. We look forward to serving you soon. And you can visit U.S. Patriot Firearms in the link down below. Also, you can check them out in Jayville. My Florida folks know what's up. I'm gonna have to check them out when I get up to Jacksonville now. All right. I don't think there were any follow-up rants. Cricket Noise gifted a sub. Cricket Noise gifted a sub. Went to Jacob45 Allen. So thank you for that. Let's see. Zoom out. Let me just check YouTube real quick and make sure before I let you guys out of here. I don't think there's anything else. All right, so hit the thumbs up, please, if you guys don't mind. Hit that thumbs up, share the show out. Helps out tremendously. I am going to wrap up here and probably have to don't tell her, but I'm probably gonna have to spend the rest of the day with the missus. Just kidding. We're going to go celebrate 17 years, man. It's crazy. 17 years. I remember when I was like a teenager and it was like, oh my goodness, I've almost been dating this girl for a year. How do I do this? But when it's your best friend, you can do it. So love it. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay frosty. God bless each and every one of you. God bless America. Make the deep state motherfuckers pay for this.
Open your eyes to a new world, which you never knew existed.